here, so are we getting
Yep, it opened up. It's right
Okay,
there. So I think we're good. It was a quick question there. So I
nice.
think we're good. All right. So next we have none other than Robin Robbins, who I'm a big fan of. Just really, really, really smart woman. I love just sitting back and listening to what she has to say. She always has
Fangirl
some
over here. I'm not gonna deny
I
it.
was like, I almost said fangirl, then I was like, well, can I say that? But like,
We can
yes,
totally
total
say
fangirl.
that.
Total fangirl.
So
So,
today she's going
yeah.
to talk to you about the marketing blueprint. She's going to share 6 ways to double your sales, MRR, and clients without spending a single dime on marketing. So I can't wait for this. I believe she is ready and on stage. So we're going to pass it back on to Jared and Robin, who are going to be able to present to you in the next couple of seconds.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm live. Am I live? Hey, everybody out there on the interwebs. Thank you, CyberQP. We're here learning about how to make your MSP more successful. And thanks, you guys. That was a great introduction. Fangirl. I don't know. I think you may have to, examine your choices in life if I'm your role model. I guess it's just hard for me to take compliments. So anyway, super happy to be here, guys. Jared, I think you're there in the background with me for me. Is that right? Can I can't hear anybody, so I'm not sure if you guys are okay. So okay, I see. Yes, he is. Okay, cool. We can hear. Okay, cool. So all right. Well, let's just get into things here. Why don't we so I don't have to waste your time here. Let me bring up my slide deck so you guys can see that. Although I am not seeing. Here we go. There we go. Share that. You guys should be seeing my PowerPoint presentation here. I guess you all are. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to be talking about 6 ways to double sales, MRR, and clients without spending a dime on marketing. And all of you out there, MSPs, you guys honestly have I think it's one of the most difficult businesses to run, without a doubt. I mean, before I worked exclusively in the MSP space, I actually did a lot of work in many other industries. I worked for a couple other marketing firms, and I did consulting with a lot of other business owners. I have colleagues that are in different industries, and we swap stories and share best practices and whatnot. And honestly, I just know that you guys are some of that you really are the unsung heroes of business. The difficulty of what you have to do, I don't think is anywhere near as appreciated as it should be among the general business population. And I think that's changing. I think MSPs are definitely stepping up I wouldn't say stepping up their game, because you guys have always had, you've always done a great job, but I think you're starting to get the recognition you deserve, right? And so obviously when you're dealing with growing a business, getting more clients, new logos is always going to be more difficult, right? And I know all of you want to just serve your customers. You want to have a good, well-run business, make a little bit of money for all the hard work you put in, well-deserved profits. But you can't do that unless you figure out how to grow sales and recurring revenue. And like I know for many of you, the problem is that you don't have an unlimited amount of money, you don't have unlimited resources, people too. I mean, it's hard to find good people. So today I'm really going to talk about how do you grow sales and that recurring revenue and clients when you have limited resources. And I think for many of you, maybe you can tell me, from your experience, maybe you're more technical in nature, and maybe Jared and the team can kind of tell me what your answers are. But I'd like to know from you, what's the biggest challenge you're dealing with when it comes to getting new customers, to getting more business in the door. But again, from working with so many MSPs, I know this is going to be an area that you're going to need some help with. So anyway, here's what I'm covering. I'm covering where you're overlooking 7-figure ARR, annual recurring revenue sales opportunities that are really easy to get. And when I say easy to get, they're in relative terms from the standpoint of getting new customers, And the way I think most of you are thinking about getting, growing your business, there are the easier ways, less expensive ways than just going out and getting new customers. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do you add significant profits to your bottom line. Again, this is a business where you really have to watch your margins. It's super, super easy to, it's really super easy for you to, not be as profitable as you should be. I think the average MSP out there is making about 8% EBITDA net profit. And best in class are closer to 17, 18%. But there's a lot of other industries that are putting 20%, 30% to the bottom line. And their businesses are not as complicated as and sophisticated and difficult as what you do. And so I think how do you add those profits is really important. Where do you want to start with marketing before you spend money on any kind of lead generation, whether it's social media, SEO, websites, and more? I'm also going to talk about why a lot of MSPs don't break the $1 million mark. So believe it or not, 79% of MSPs out there, and I'm lumping in break fix because there's some break fix in there, they never get beyond the $1 million mark. And a lot of them are very unprofitable. And in fact, there was some research that just came out that 26% of MSPs out there are negative profits. Like they're flat. They're either making no profit or they're actually going backwards. All right. So we're going to talk about that and how to fire your cheap pain in the ass PITA clients and still make more money with a lot less work and aggravation. So that's what I'm promising you. I know some of you might not be able to stay till the end. So I have put together some resources that build on today's presentation, from sales playbooks and the ultimate guide to MSP marketing. If you go to itmarketingplan.com/6 ways, there are additional resource materials completely free. If you want to avail yourself, if you find what I'm sharing with you useful and you'd like to get some more resources, I just want you to know I've put that together for all of you on the webinar. All right. Now, another question I'd like, and maybe you guys can participate and tell me, I'm just curious, how many of you, this is the first time you've ever heard me speak? Maybe I don't know if you've never heard of my name. You're kind of new. This is the first presentation. I'd love to know that. So, Jared or Morgan or whoever's in the background, if you can just sort of feed those to me. And every presentation I do, it's kind of surprising me. There are MSPs out there, even though I've been in the business for 22 years, there are MSPs that have never heard of me. That's because I think there's a lot of new MSPs that are just getting started out there. We're seeing a lot of it. So I've been working with MSPs, VARs, IT service companies, since 2001. We have 90,000 IT business subscribers in our database, mostly MSPs, but they're, some people still classify themselves as a VAR or break fix. And if you look at revenue, clients retention, we've built the largest, most successful marketing firm in the channel based on members, results, and revenue by far. And let me just kind of back. I'm not telling you that to brag, by the way. I'm telling you that because I want you to understand there's a lot of gurus out there that'll tell you how to run a business, how to grow a business, how to hire and manage a sales department, how to do marketing, but they're not growing their own business. In fact, the other day, somebody referred me to somebody on LinkedIn, and his whole shtick was about how do you grow subscribers and members to your business. And I looked at his company, and he'd been around for about almost 10 years, and he had no employees. He had one employee. And so, it's really hard for me to take advice from like what I call motivational speakers who have these ideas. They're writing a book report from what they've seen other people do, not a field report. So I want you to also know I'm going to deliver you a field report today. I have continue to run a very successful business. I've grown my business. I've started it from scratch, like many of you, with no investors, no PE money, no clients, nothing. I didn't have a website, I didn't have a product, I didn't have a business background, and none of those things. So I want you to know that I'm not only speaking from experience in working with clients and members, because we do run the largest peer group. We've got 1,400 members and 9,387 active clients. So that gives us a lot of pulses back, a lot of information, but I've also run my own business that way. I'm the CEO of MSP Success Magazine. We've got about 45,000 subscribers. And bottom line, we have more documented client success stories than any other marketing consultant in this industry. So that's a little bit about me. And I feel that's important. I'm not bragging. I feel it's important that I establish the basis upon which I'm giving my advice. I'm not, just somebody up here delivering, like I said, a book report of how things should say, or a motivational speaker kind of deal. All right. So when I talk about results, just so you know the kind of clients that I've worked with to do the things I'm going to share with you today, just so you get an idea, like Brian and Mary Hamilton, when they first came to me, they were only doing about $1,500 in MRR, or not. I'm sorry, not even that. They were flat broke, and yeah, they sold about 1,500, and then jumped to 8,500 and sold 100,000 in projects. Last year, they did about 1.6 million. So they were really small, broke. Husband and wife team operating out of their house, and they have grown to be a very successful MSP. Or Scott Hodgesodigan. Scott came to me, actually, he started his MSP in the middle of the pandemic. If you remember those days, it was kind of crazy. So no clients, no systems, no marketing. And in just 90 days, we got him to $89,492 in MRR. So that's pretty significant. And that was in the first 90 days. Roland Parker, added 6 clients, MRR about $15,000 per month, another $20,000 in product sales. And that was in about 90 days. And again, what I'm going to share with you is what these guys are doing, what I'm coaching them to do. So I'm sharing with you, not to brag, but to show you the kind of people that we work with. Roland's kind of interesting because he came from South Africa, came over here with, without 2 nickels to his name, and started an MSP business, is very, very successful. Today, I think he's around 4 or 5 million, but was broke, kind of, break fix, flat, no growth. And now is a very successful and thriving MSP. Or Charles Swihart's really interesting too, because Charles, when he came to me, he had 981 break fix customers. And he transformed. Now that wasn't in 90 days. That was a couple of years progress. But I know today, I just spoke to him, several months ago, but it was, recently, he's doing over $1 million in net profit. This slide says 512,000. Today, I know he's over $1 million in net profit. So he went from complete break fix, driving to people's homes, fixing their computer, doing whatever that is, to now $1 million net. All right. So I want you just to check your skepticisms at the door. I know it's everybody. I'm going to show you all my success stories and how great and wonderful and mighty I am. And, I'm not here today to tell you everybody gets those results. That is ridiculous. That is not, I'm not suggesting that. But we do get a lot of people having great results. And the things that I'm going to share with you are exactly what I'm teaching my clients to do. And a lot of people are surprised by that because they're like, well, Robin, don't you sell marketing, advertising, Google, websites, pay-per-click? Yes, we do. But that's not where I start with my clients, because often they're overlooking acres of diamonds in their own backyard that they're not capitalizing on. And I always encourage my clients, start there before you start spending a lot of money on a $30,000 new website and, $5,000 a month SEO and digital marketing plan, because then you're spending real money. So I want to make sure that you guys know exactly how you can increase your sales, your revenue, your profits, and you can do it in a way that doesn't require you to spend a lot of money. In fact, none. So I want to get started in those 6 ways. Okay. Okay. See, I'm seeing there are some people who have never heard of me before. See, I like to think I'm more famous than that. So anyway, I hope you get I'm just joking. You know what I mean? I'm not serious. Okay. So, but I'm very serious about my content. So, strategy number 1 is you got to fix your funnel. Now, what the heck is a funnel? Maybe you've heard of this before. It's a sales and marketing term where they show you, leads come in, they're raw leads, they're unqualified. A subset of those are going to be qualified. A subset of those are going to want to meet with you. A subset of those will go to proposal. A subset of those will actually buy and be a customer. And so that's what a marketing and sales and marketing funnel is. Okay. And so what I find though is when you go to most MSPs and you talk about marketing and sales and growth, they only tend to think in terms of more leads. Like, they'll ask me questions like, well, where should I start with marketing? Should I do social media? Should I do SEO? Should I do trade shows? Where do I start? Right. And what that shows to me is they don't understand that growing your sales, growing your clients, growing your MRR, growing your profits. It's not just about generating more leads. That is one component of it, okay? But there's three ways you can increase revenue and profits in your business. And one obviously is you generate more inbound leads, and a lot of you need that. But the other way a lot of people don't think about is to convert more of those leads to clients, and that is your inbound lead handling process. When a lead comes in your office, how effective and efficient are you at following up on it? How good are you? Do you even have a system or a process where a lead comes in, whether it's a referral, it comes from your website, it comes from a trade show, where however it comes in? Do you have a place where you can actually put that lead and track it and follow up? And if they don't buy, they're not ready right yet, do you have a place where you can actually do drip marketing and continue to follow up with that person? And what I find in 99% of MSPs, because I won't say nobody, but after doing this for a very, very long time, it's very rare that I find someone who has a good productive list in a CRM and they're capturing leads and they have a process for handling those inbound leads and qualifying and moving them to an appointment and moving them through the sales funnel. And so you could be generating all these leads, but you're not converting those leads, right? And then maximizing client value, okay? So let me kind of show what I mean by that. Maximizing client value, by the way, is making sure you're pricing things properly, making sure you have actual strategic account management with your TBRs, technology business reviews, or QBRs. Are you asking for referrals? Are you looking for cross-sell opportunities? That's maximizing client value. And again, when most people think of marketing, they just think more leads, but these other two components is where a lot of the juice can be. The other thing I want to point out is if we get just a 10% increase in each of these areas, I'm going to show you the math. You don't just get a 10% increase, you actually get a 51% gain. So let's say, for example, you're generating 5 leads a month. And I know for some of you, that's probably a lot. Some of you, most MSPs are only generating about 1, maybe 2 leads a month. But let's say, just follow the math with me, okay? Let's say you're generating 5 leads a month, which is 60 total leads per year. And let's say we don't go crazy with changing marketing advertising. Let's say we only increase that by 10%, which is not hard to do, okay? So now we're generating 66 leads per year, okay? Now, we don't stop there though. Let's say you had about a 40% close rate on the leads that you were getting. So for every 5 leads you're getting in, you're closing 2, all right? And again, we don't go crazy. We just increase your close rate by putting a better sales process in place, by putting drip marketing in place, by good follow-up, good lead capture, a strategic sales, a professional sales process in your business. And again, a lot of MSPs don't think about this, but your sales process is the first opportunity a prospect has of interacting with you and knowing what it's going to be like when they actually hire you, if they actually hire you. So you got to put a lot of thought into this. You want to be very, very strategic because it is the first experience you're giving a new prospective client. So we improve that, we tighten it up. We don't go hog wild, but instead of a 40%, now we're closing 50%, right? And then let's say maximizing client revenue and profits. And let's say you're doing an average MRR deal of about $1,000 a month. And again, we get a 10% increase. We raise prices a little bit. We put an advanced cyber stack on there. We do AB options, and we get it up to $100 or $1,100 per month on average, right? So what you'll see is on that top 5 leads, closing 2 clients at $12,000 in ARR, you're getting a total of $288,000 per year in over a 2-year. Over 24 clients. Okay. Now let's say instead, just that 10% increase, you can see the output's going to be $435,600. That is $147,000 increase in dollars, but it's not a 10% increase. It's a 51% increase. And this is one of the areas that if you want to generate more leads, what I always recommend clients do is not to go out and do lead generation first. What we have to put in place is a way of capturing, following up with, nurturing the leads that you're already getting, but you're not capturing, you're not closing, you're not following up with, you're not nurturing. And trust me, I would bet my house that if I secret shopped your business today, that you are mishandling that call, that it's going to voicemail, that it's going to an engineer who doesn't know how to handle that call, that it's getting missed completely. There's all kinds of ways leads are coming into your office right now and they are getting mishandled. And then after we get that in place, because I don't want to add more leads to a broken process, we also have to fix your sales process and your pricing, because we want to make sure that you're not only converting the leads, but then you're also maximizing client revenue. And I just saw there was Service Leadership just published some data, and they were showing the difference between bottom quartile, which are the people on the struggle bus in this industry, right? And they're the non-profitable ones, MSPs, and best in class. And what was interesting, in they were doing like an 8-quarter look, and what they found is the average MSP added up at just under 3 clients per quarter. So roughly 1 client per month, best in class and the bottom quartile. But what was interesting is the top best in class were, and by the way, we're spending the same. They were getting, I can't remember, I think it was something like 5 to 6 times the profits and revenue from their customers as the bottom quartile. So same number of customers, same marketing acquisition cost, best in class was able to get more profit per customer, excuse me, because of this, because of good account management and so forth. So let me, just show you, like Adam Spencer, he's a former spokesperson for my company. That's a long story, but every year we name a new spokesperson. First 90 days, closed $14,722 in MRR. All we did is follow the campaigns and instructions, but out of debt. He was living in a basement, believe it or not. And now extremely profitable. That is really the quintessential, like, van down by the river testimonial. I'm just like, we were living in a basement down by the river, something like that. Anyway, but Adam is now running a very, very successful MSP. He's adds a lot of new clients because he follows this methodology. It's not just more leads. It's also converting the leads that you've got through a better capture process, follow-up, drip, nurture process, and then, of course, sales process, and then, of course, doing the TBRs. Okay, I want to move on, but real quick, let me check. Cynthia, Jared, do we have any questions I need to address? Okay. Okay, so I'm getting a question. How do you convince customers that they need all these new security stack when they didn't need them for years? Okay, let me round back to that one. I think I might answer that. Let me see. We struggle with non-referral top of funnel. Okay. Non-referral top of funnel. Okay. So both when I was an MSP and now that I'm not. All right. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but let me get through this, and those questions I think I'm going to answer throughout. So let me try and keep those top of mind for me. All right. So now that we talked about fixing your funnel, not just looking at more leads, the second thing we want to do is make every client more valuable. All right. And you want to start with developing your existing customers first. And most MSPs, again, they don't do this. They just think in terms of more clients, more leads. And the reality is, the more clients you need to hit any income or growth goal you want, the more complicated, stressful, and problem-riddled your business becomes, all right? So if you wanted to add $1 million in annual recurring revenue, let's say that was a goal, if your average client was spending only $300 per month, you need 278 clients to get that done. At $500 per month, it's 167. At 1,000, and you can see all the way up to where, I hit a little too quick. You can see all the way up to where we're at. We only need 8 clients if the average spend is around 10,000, or 17 clients if it's around $4,902. Okay. So again, I'm not saying $300 per month is a bad business model. If you have the right model and metrics, that might be fine. But I think as an MSP, I think you understand that the more clients you have, the more billing issues you have, the more customer service issues you have, the more complexity you have in your business. And here's another way of looking at this. I want to give credit to Jeff Farr. He's one of our experts in residence, one of our client coaches. He came up with this just to kind of show a point. So let's say this is the same business, same MSP. They have 150 customers. The average number of users of those 150 customers is 25, right? But you can see by the per seat price. and this is just a metric just to give you an idea, right? At $22 per seat, you're about a million top line. If you were 20% EBITDA, net profit, and you were to sell your business, you would get roughly a 4x multiple. And that would be about 800,000 is the enterprise value. EV stands for enterprise value. Okay. And you can see as we move up in just per seat price, which is one of the metrics of client value. It's not the only one, but it's just one metric of it. You can see as you start to upsell, cross sell, advanced cyber protections, and that because that's really compliance and cyber protections. I'm telling you guys, that's where any MSP that is making really, really good money, that's where they're making it. You can see that they're building that ticket, they're building that value, and with the same number of customers, your valuation can be like the difference between 800,000 and 24 million. And that's not a joke. That's a very, very real thing. So you're looking at enterprise value. Additional reasons why you want to make every client more valuable: there are no customer acquisition costs. So best in class MSPs, even lower, even the bottom quartile of MSPs, they're spending about $20,000 to $30,000 in total sales and marketing costs. That's everything. They're spending about $27,500 to acquire a new client. Okay. Now, another metric you might want to jot down is, as an MSP, you should be spending somewhere between 10 and 11% of top line revenue on sales and marketing costs combined. All right. That's everything. That's salaries. That's your software tools. That's your advertising. That's everything. Okay. So when you acquire a customer, if you're doing the right things and you're doing the TBRs, the technology business reviews, you're meeting with your clients quarterly, you're mapping out a IT roadmap and budget. When you're doing that on a consistent basis, you're building the value of your customers. Okay. And it's almost always going to be in cyber or it's going to be in projects. Okay. And so when you're doing that, you're building the enterprise value without the customer acquisition cost, because when you do a TBR or QBR, you sell something to an existing customer, you don't have the acquisition cost. Also, when you are paying an account manager in your business, you're going to pay them less than if you pay an outside sales hunter. It's just the reality of it. So again, that's another reason why you want to make sure you're doing that. When clients provide you with more profits, you can invest more to get a customer, which makes it easier. Because if your budget is only, hey, I can only spend $1,000 to get a customer, you're going to have a really tough time. Now, it's not impossible, but you're going to have a much more difficult time if all you can spend is $1,000 to $2,000 to get a customer, and there are competitors in your area willing to spend $27,500. They're going to beat you just by outspending you, by throwing bodies at it and advertising at it. So you just have to understand, you want to build the value of your clients so that you can reasonably and affordably spend $27,500. Now that might seem like a lot of money. It's all relative, right? And I'm not saying today you have to go start spending all that money right away today to be successful, because again, we're showing you ways to fix this. But the more you can invest to get a customer, the easier it is to get a customer in the first place. And clients who buy more services are also more loyal, and they're less likely to churn because it's harder to fire you. It keeps the competitors out of your flock, because if you are selling advanced cyber, if you're selling phone systems, if you're selling these additional things, compliance services, what you then do is the client is not forced to go outside of your company to get those services. And believe me, there's a lot of my clients that are cherry picking off other companies' MSPs because they're not offering advanced cyber and compliance services. I'm seeing it all the time, because there are some business owners that are being forced because of the regulatory compliance laws, FedRAMP, FTC safeguards, just even your insurance providers. Like for me to get cyber liability insurance, I have to have proof. I'm signing a document stating and declaring that we have cyber protections in place. I got to have it. If the MSP I was working with could not provide that adequately, I'd be forced to go outside and find one that did. So this is super, super important. Clients are happier to have one throat to choke. And, you don't have to, if you cannot build the team internally, you can always partner with someone to fulfill on that need. but have the money go through you. In other words, you are reselling somebody's white label service if that's where you are. All right. Here's a couple additional services MSPs offer, from secure payments, physical security cameras, mobile device management, ISP services, web hosting. You can see, of course, phone, telecom, advanced cyber, quarterly annual pen tests, compliance solutions, dark web monitoring. All these things are additional services that many MSPs are now offering in their advanced cyber protections. Okay. Okay. So here's like on this sort of thread. I want to talk about how best-in-class MSPs provide more value to their customers, and I think this might address the question that came up about getting people to see it. Right. So whenever I get a client that comes in, and there are and they have break fix customers, it's a guarantee lay down. I can convert at least 20% to not 80%, or sometimes even 100%, but a minimum 20% will convert to managed services if you talk to them about cybersecurity. And the way you do it is you can do, a risk assessment. All right. In addition to that, so when leads, hear me, when leads come in from outside marketing, I know this from studying and researching inbound phone calls from hundreds of MSPs that we're doing their digital marketing. So we're hearing the inbound phone calls because we track all that, right? They are calling in with a technical problem. It's like 38% are calling in and they're not saying, hey, I need an MSP. They're not saying, in fact, the one thing that was brought up the least, believe it or not, and guys, forgive me for saying it, is cybersecurity. It's not zero, but it's like 23% of calls. Okay. Most people call in and they have a technical issue they need help with. Now, that's not to say they don't need cyber protection. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But they don't call in going, hey, I think we need more cybersecurity. It's just not the way they think. So if you're struggling, you're probably having a conversation about cybersecurity instead of having a conversation about executive risk or about compliance or about downtime and true the cost of that risk, because that's the conversation you got to have, because that's the way CEOs and CFOs think. They don't think in terms of cyber protections. That's the way you think. They think in terms of risk. They think in terms of, I got this technical problem, now I need help. So a lot of what best-in-class MSPs will do is they take break-fix clients, they're moved to a managed services plan, either from the start or at some point after trust has been established. After they've resolved the technical issue and they pay, they're getting paid to do that, they move them to managed services. They also create a roadmap and a budget for their clients to reduce risk and align their tech stack. So you get a customer, and part of what you want to do is an assessment and say, okay, here's where you're at risk. Here's where there's problems, old equipment, whatever you find. And you want to put together a quarterly sort of roadmap where you say, okay, we can't fix, maybe the urgent stuff you got to fix right away, but there may be things like, hey, there's some computers we're going to need to refresh, or we might want to move some elements of this to the cloud, or whatever it is. And you do it in these quarterly meetings with a budget and a roadmap. They then use those QBRs to go over that roadmap and that budget, and they reevaluate their client's profitability and right fit status at least twice a year, saying, is this client still, are they aligned to our tech stack? Are they aligned to, are we protecting them as we should? Okay, it's really important. So what I would recommend you do is rank your clients by most profitable and best fit to least profitable. So we put that like at A, B, and C. So if you look at this little chart, A clients would be any client that you have that's over 65% margin on services, not on products, just purely on services. B clients, your margins are between 50 to 60%. C clients between 50 and 35. And D clients are 35% or lower. Okay. And then you're also grading them on, full meal deal means your full tech stack. Okay. And to do this properly, you need to define what a right fit client is for you. What clients do you do your best work with? You need to know the service gross margin for each client. You need to evaluate which clients are on your full service offering and tech stack. So if you have clients that maybe they're even profitable, but they're not getting your full cybersecurity protection, that might be a B or a C client because they're not aligned to your full tech stack. All right. And you've got to make sure that you do that. Right. So wait a minute. I think I went a little too fast here. Okay. So again, rank your clients A, B, C, and D. Make sure for your A clients, you prioritize them and you're doing those QBRs to provide true CIO strategy and services, chief information. So I call it fractional CIO. Some people call it virtual CIO. I like fractional because that's really what it is. For your B and C clients, map out a budget and a roadmap, like go back and assess their situation. I would even recommend you go in and pretend like you are trying to knock out the incumbent. So when you go visit a new prospective customer and you're doing an assessment of their security, their backup, the functionality, the age, the systems, the process, the documentation of their network, just basically the professionalism and stability of their entire infrastructure, their IT in general, go into your existing customers with that mindset and think it's a competitor that's in there and go find all the reasons that the security flaws and problems you would find, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to map out that roadmap. You're going to reduce the risk for security risks and downtime, increase stability, and lower the number of tickets and problems they have, as well as increase productivity and help with growth. Okay, so you're going to put together that roadmap. For your D clients, I call it a come to Jesus meeting, and you got to tell them, hey guys, we need to upgrade you. Now, here's how I would do it. Okay, so if you have a client that is not profitable, okay, what I would do is you have to re-engineer, obviously, a service offering that is profitable, that is appropriate for them, and price it out. Okay. Shoot high, don't shoot too low. Okay. So shoot a little high. Go back to them and have a meeting. I have a process. If you're a client of mine watching, you know I have this process mapped out. So you go back to them and you say, look, you are on our 2022 service offering. We assessed your environment. There's areas of risk. There's areas of downtime, potential downtime. There's areas that we need to professionalize. We need to get up to date, and we need to put you on our 2024 plan, or so that way. The other thing is, by giving your agreements a year, you can go back and refresh that agreement every year. And you really kind of need to do that because the changes that happen with cybersecurity, new tools that come out, IT is not static, as you guys well know. So the plan you sold them 5 years ago is no longer a viable plan. I can tell you that because there's just been so many changes. All right. Okay, question. I see Jared. Have you seen any MSPs run into issues with potential liability of setting a quarterly cadence for reviews? No, I actually have seen people get in trouble, legal trouble, for not doing it. So, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night or anything like that. So I'm not providing legal advice because I am nowhere qualified to do that. But I'm just telling you, I have seen where MSPs, maybe on their website or in a client in the sales process, they said, oh yeah, we do QBRs. And then they weren't doing them consistently, and a hack happened or downtime happened, and they sued them on that basis, saying this was part of what you promised us in your service offering and you weren't fulfilling on it. So I would say, if you're not going to do it, obviously don't promise to do something for a client that you're not going to do. But I've not seen I've not seen anyone get in trouble for doing it, just for not doing it. Okay. Okay. So from Break Fix, this is Jay Hill. Jay is a long-term member of mine, 20 years, ignored marketing, was grinding out 12, 14 hours every day. I'm sure some of you can relate. Got into my program, learned how to package, price, and sell managed services, did what I just described. 2 weeks later, he had $16,322 in new MRR and has grown that to $118,000 using that process I just talked to you about. Okay. So I absolutely know it works. Or Evan Desjardins, same thing. 17 Break Fix clients to manage services using Robin's Good News, Bad News campaign. We converted 17 Break Fix clients to manage for $21,595 per month. And what was really interesting, so several years ago, Evan was a Break Fix company. And today, I hope I'm not telling tales, but I know he's north of I think he's actually like closer to $7 million in recurring revenue, very successful MSP. I believe it was all organic growth, but we got him started by doing this process that I'm talking to you about. All right. So if you're going to do account management, every client should be aligned to your current tech stack, at least have a plan, a budget over 6 to 12 months. Growing MRR in every account should be no less than 10% year over year. If you're doing this QBR process, your organic natural growth within clients should be 10%. You should be generating roughly 60% of MRR in projects. So if you're generating $100,000 in ARR, you should be getting about $60,000 in projects from those same clients. It's just a kind of a general rule of thumb. All right. If you're not doing that, you're not getting the projects that you should. All right. This is Robert Spar. We call him Big Daddy Pop Pop. He's kind of funny. Robert actually makes rap videos as Big Daddy Pop Pop. I'm not even joking, because running an MSP is not enough, I guess. So by doing TBRs, we added $124,484 in revenue. Again, doing these TBRs, they're quarterly, right? But since joining, they started doing that process, using a cross-sell sheet that we give them, using the process I just outlined to you. That's the kind of results. Or Tommy Thornton, 77,000 ARR in 4 months. When you do what I just outlined, you guys, I promise you're going to find money in your existing accounts. And by the way, PS, you're also going to be able to serve your customers better, right? So, he said, I'll let you in a secret. Before Robin taught me about TBRs, I intentionally dodged my customers. Honest, I had a false belief if I visited a customer, they would say, hey, now that you're here, would you mind doing something, this, that, the other? I'd be sucked back into doing break fix. But after I turned 3 TBRs into 77,000, I suddenly had proof of concept that it worked. I booked 12 TBRs in 24 hours. Turns out my customers were starving to talk to me. See that? A lot of you don't think that, but they are. From these important face-to-face meetings, we added an additional 60,000 in recurring revenue. All right. One more, Stephen Cracknell, just in case you don't believe me, 34,000 in new MRR year over year by 33%. Again, doing these TBRs, ranking your customers, making sure you're doing the TBRs, mapping out a roadmap. This almost, guys, all of this is cyber. I mean, I don't want to say 100% because I'm sure there was a little project in there to upgrade some hardware or a device or something like that. But I'm telling you, the majority of this revenue is coming from cyber. All right. I better hurry up. We're only on number 3. Okay. So number 3, referrals. Okay. Few ways to fuel referrals. A lot of MSPs will take a referral if it comes in, but they don't have a way to fuel them and reward them. All right. So the first thing you got to do is ask. Ask at the initial sale, at every QBR meeting, and throughout the year. Have an abundance of 5-star reviews and testimonials because people feel more comfortable referring somebody if on your Google business profile, you have 5-star reviews. Okay. So that's really important. On your website, are there good testimonials? All right. Publish a print newsletter in addition to digital. I know you guys are going to freak out about this, right? But in your print newsletter, like run referral competitions. You could do it electronically too. Highlight clients who have referred that month. Offer an incentive for referrals. Put a quota. If you have an account manager who's meeting with your customers or your service manager, put a quota and say, we want to receive, we should see at least 5% to 10% of our customers should be referring us to somebody every single month. 5% is very reasonable to expect of referrals, but you got to ask, you have to have incentive program. You've got to be just aware of that. Canvas buildings and office parks of your current clients. Canvassing is where you walk in the door and introduce yourself and you say, hey, hey, Jared, good to meet you. I'm Robin Robbins. I do the IT support for ABC, down the hall, real estate down the hall. And, you're in the same office park. I wanted to stop by and drop this off. So we teach our clients how to do that type of canvassing. We call it a 5-around drop. So you drop off marketing material around 5 customers because people tend to know everybody. It gives you a reason to do that. It's another way of fueling referrals. And you got to implement a system for getting every client to bring you a referral, because if you really worked at this, you could literally double your business every year and not spend a dime on SEO, pay-per-click, or any kind of direct marketing. And guys, I'm telling you this, I sell those services. So I'm not against those services, but if you aren't really fueling referrals, you need to start there first, right? That's why in my program, for example, one of the big chapters we've got in I say chapters, I'm just, we have a lot of systems, process, talk tracks, campaigns around referrals, right? But it's so important. And referrals close at a higher rate, but most MSPs don't have any systems or processes, don't know how to ask, don't know how to reward them. So you need to have that in place. All right. Fran Cadero, Redbox, we use Robin's referral script, just a script. This was not fancy. This was not a full campaign, just asking. Like he didn't offer this big incentive. They've generated about 3 more referrals just after asking a couple customers. Really, really simple. Mike Farlow, Comtact, just one of the referral campaigns from TMT, generated 75 referrals, 18 new clients in 3 months. And this is now the campaign he did was a far more elaborate one. I don't have time to talk about this, but it is one of the, so referral campaigns that we all, it could be as simple as a script to how do you ask for them to more elaborate giveaways and contests and things that you can do, like events to, referral events that you can run. Okay. Okay. Let me look over here. Questions. Do you offer peer accountability groups? That's been helpful to me for operations. Yes, we do offer peer accountability groups. That's one of the things we actually run the largest peer group in our industry, a CEO level peer group for MSPs. So yes, and they are focused on sales, marketing, and leadership, not just technical, but yes, they get in ops a little bit, but really about growth, becoming a better CEO, sales, marketing. Okay. All right. Keep the questions coming, guys. All right. Strategy number 4, raise your prices. I know everyone's underwear tightens up when I say this, but guys, most of you are grossly undercharging. All right. Now, biggest mistake MSPs make is they try to price their services to appeal to everyone instead of the specific high value clients that they want. So we have a term, we call them HVCs, high value clients. And they are the type of clients where price is not the first, second, or third item on their criteria of why they want to buy. The problem is, obviously, there's a lot of people out there in the marketplace who do buy on price. All right. Now, it's not everybody. I think you grossly overestimate how many people buy on price. I would estimate that about 10% of the marketplace is buying purely on price. They're going to buy the cheapest no matter what. Okay. For the rest, 90% of the marketplace, price is a consideration, but it is not the defining factor. Where people buy on price is where they can't see value differentiation, okay? And let me give you a really important lesson on raising prices, because a lot of people are afraid of it, right? If we raise your prices by just 10%, right? And I'm just using this model, let's say for every $1,000 of MRR, cost of goods is $600, fixed overhead is $300, you're getting, $100, that's 10% net profit, okay? Let's say you raise your prices to $1,100, so we just 10%. Your cost of goods stay the same, the overhead stays the same, but now you've doubled your profit. Because when you raise prices, that goes right to the bottom line, all right? So you can see $1,000 and what the difference is just raising it 10%. It literally doubles your net. So you can see here 20 clients. If we were doing that, we're doubling after a year, we're doubling in that month. All right. Now, if you discount 10%, right? Or any kind of discounts come right off the bottom line. Because when you discount to win a sale, you don't lower what you're delivering to a client because the client still wants the thing. If I sell you this pen, I don't say, okay, I give you 10% off, but I'm going to rip off this little rubber, whatever pad is. I'm going to keep that. No, you still have to deliver on everything. So it goes right off the net. So if you're charging $1,000 and you just give a simple 10% discount, you just wiped out your profits. And inflation and rising labor costs have required MSPs to raise their prices over 20% in the last year just to preserve margin. That's not even to get additional revenue. That's purely just to preserve the margins they had. All right. So you've got to do that. You can see how it just wipes out your profit. So then you would say, well, Robin, the number one reason why I'm not raising my prices is I'm scared I'm going to lose customers. They're going to go away. All right. So the question then would be, well, let's say we raise your prices. How would that impact your business? Because not everybody's going to quit unless you're really doing terrible work. And if you're doing terrible work and you lose all your customers, that's not because of price increase. That's because you're not doing your job. So it's not the price increase. If you're doing a good job and you raise your prices and you lose some customers, how many can you lose and still come out ahead? All right. So what if let's say you had 10 customers, okay? And you raise prices 10% and you lose two customers. So two customers after a price increase of 10%, you were charging them 1,000. Now you got to raise prices 10%. You got to charge them 1,100. Two of the 10 customers say go pound sand. So your net is your 1,600 net profit. You're still up $600 more profit in total with two fewer customers to service, which means then you can put more energy in techs and focus on the 8. Okay. So see, people get very emotional, but you got to look at the numbers, right? Let's say out of 10 customers, 4 of them say, no go, I'm not paying you. I'm finding another MSP. Okay. 6 customers, stick with you. You raise their prices. You get $1,200. You're still up $200 more in net profit. If you lost half your customers, you would break even. So a lot of people are very fearful of this, but you could literally raise your prices, lose 5 customers, and still make the same dollar amount of profit, but with fewer customers, less aggravation. And you could probably at that point, not to say you would fire your techs, but your cost of goods would start going down as well. So technically you'd even making more. Okay. So I know this is Will Nobles. He's again one of our client coaches here at TMT. When he first came to me, he was under $1 million. He was working his butt off. He said, so broke, I couldn't pay myself. I was not doing any marketing, charging too little out of fear. After going to one of my events, he got the courage to charge more, but also use the templates and so forth, raised his prices. Now he's a $20 million year MSP. 15 and through this also closed a $15,000 per month MRR with a $5 million project. Today, I know he's over 20 million. And where this story came about, Will was sitting in an event and I was talking about prices and so forth. And he raised his hand. He goes, Robin, you understand, I'm in Atlanta and it is so competitive in Atlanta. You don't get it. There's a million MSPs down there. They charge $2 an endpoint. I don't know how they do it, but I can't charge the fees. I think we were suggesting maybe 150 all-in seat price, somewhere around there. And he's saying, I can't do that. I'm at, I don't know, whatever he was at, $80 or whatever he was charging. And there was another guy that was in the event who was sitting up front, turned around and looked him in the eye and said, I'm in Atlanta and the prices you're charging are what I charged 5 years ago. I charged $200 a seat. And it was just like, he couldn't argue it. There's a guy in the room, MSP, kicking his butt, charging way more, getting it, making a lot more money in the same marketplace, same customers, same vendors, same market conditions, same economy. So it's a lot of this is your head trash. All right. So if you want to raise prices without raising prices, you can offer a premium version of what you sell that is 30 to 40% higher than your standard. And usually that's going to be an advanced cyber compliance package. Now, I want to be clear, never sell a client less than they need. Okay. But some people are a little more, let's say, cyber aware and want more protection than others, right? So you can have an advanced cyber protection package for them that also maybe includes after hours support or evening support. It includes more on-site visits or something like that. You can offer a premium version. And if a certain percentage take that, then you've automatically raised your prices without raising your prices because you're offering, here's our standard, here's our premium package. And if it's offered right, roughly about 20%, 10 to 30% are going to say yes to it. Okay. So if my standard fees are $1,000 a month, a premium offer is $1,500. If we get about 10 to 30%, you're getting $6,000 more in your pocket from every client that takes the premium package. And like I said, if it's presented properly, about 10 to 30% will take it just because you offer it, because there's some people that always fly first class. They always buy the best. And it's just like a psychological need that they have, right? So with your current clients, include an annual price increase of no more than 5% across the consumer price index. So one of the things that we teach our clients is if you're doing 3-year agreements, for example, one of the things you can put in there that's a protection for the customer and it's a protection for you is to say every year we have the ability, doesn't mean we're going to do it, but we have the option to raise prices by 5% over the consumer price index because that's inflation. All right. Because if you have a year like we've seen recently and there's 11% increase in inflation rates, and you only can charge 5%, you're now not profitable with that account. So you put the language in there that we will not, we have the option every year upon the anniversary of this agreement to raise prices at no more than 5%. That gives protection to the client, so you just don't whack them with a big bill. But, so it's 5% plus the consumer price index. All right. Name your statement of work with the year on it. Again, the 2024 Gold Service Plan. And when you're appropriate next year, the year after, you can re-quote them and upgrade their service plan. And again, do these QBRs. And when you do the QBRs, you're looking to reduce their risk, data loss, downtime, cyber attack, increase stability, lower the number of tickets they have, or improve with growth. Okay. And again, here's all the things some of the things that you can include in that advanced package that you can offer. All right. So Leah Fryman, following Robin's advice, I was able to generate $43,000 in new recurring revenue and $230,000 in projects by just going back to existing clients, doing what I just talked about, raising prices, and in the end added 1.5 million in new sales, and net profits are over $1 million by just going back to our existing customers and doing this, right? Conrad Martin, Conrad's kind of interesting. So he is a CPA. His niche is CPA. So he is a CPA, but he is an MSP that serves CPAs. And a lot of CPAs a couple of years ago, like the MSP industry, were going through a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So he was losing $420,000. He lost in the previous year 2 mergers and acquisitions, and was facing about another $520,000 in MRR that he was going, or excuse me, ARR he was going to lose for the same reason. So he had to do something fast. So he went back to all of his clients, upgraded them to increased cyber protection, and he actually demanded it. He said, if you don't, we're raising your monthly rate. We're putting this on we're adding these cyber protections. And if you don't agree to this, then you can't be our client. And he sent these letters out. He was freaking out. He thought they would all fire him, but they didn't. He actually had 100% of his clients said yes to that. They didn't lose a single one. And from that generated, increased the security revenue by 341%. At $22,619. But again, every single client signed on. So you can do this, guys. No problem. All right. Okay. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm looking at the questions. I'll hit them. Number 5 is improving your sales process. Again, a lot of you are technicians by heart, and you do not have a sales and marketing background. And so you don't think about this, but you really need to professionalize your sales process as much as you need to professionalize your service offering, okay? Because most MSPs get paid a lot less because they don't have a sales process, and they're stubborn. They don't want to learn. They're like, I'm an engineer, I'm a tech, I can't be good. And then what happens is you go and you try to hire a salesperson, and it is literally the blind leading the blind. And you're going to go through a lot of bad starts, false hires, poor employees, horrible handling of inbound leads, selling to broke people so you're not targeting properly, right fit, fear of charging what's necessary. So this is emotional fear-based pricing that you do because you don't know how to sell, predetermined what they're going to pay, no logical process to build value, no ability to differentiate or overcome cheaper competitors. So in order to really get paid what you need to get paid, you need to be able to do these things, because if you don't give prospects a logical reason upon which to base their decision, they're always going to default to buying on price, okay? So let's suppose you're going on 2 appointments a month, all right? And your average sales, 800 in MRR, that's 28,800 if you keep that client for 3 years. Let's say your average close rate's 25%. And by the way, that is the industry average, which is pretty awful. Now, if yours is higher because you're selling only to referrals, you're going to be shocked at how low your close rate is when you're going out and doing marketing and bringing in new customers. So with a better process, we bump the appointments to 4 and $1,000 per month, and the close rate is 50%. Okay, let's just say we do that. Our sales process, we target smarter, we raise our prices, we build the value, we know how to have the risk conversation, and through that we raise our prices and we improve our close rate. Okay, so before 2 appointments, that would generate at a 25% close rate over a year would give you 6 customers, $800. 6 customers, you're at about that. In a year's time, you would generate about $172,800 in new ARR. Okay, and after four appointments, Now, after increasing that 50% close rate, look at the difference in price. I mean, that's a $691,200 difference just by fixing your sales process. So another thing you guys really need to lean into, not just generating more leads, but you need to fix your sales process, because all you're going to be doing is spending a lot of time and money, wasting it on driving inbound leads that don't convert, that don't close, that you're underpricing for everything else. All right. So Todd Clark, Denali Tech, after adopting our 5-step sales process, revenue grew 32%, MRR spiked 38%. But the biggest win, when you know how to target properly, when you know how to price properly, and you know how to sell your services so that they're not saying, well, why do I need all that? Or, man, I get somebody who's charging me 30% less, right? If you don't know how to overcome those objections, you're always going to default to selling on price. And that's not selling, guys. That's just defaulting. And so, we're on track to generate 21% net this year, which is amazing. Or Hunter Farlow, Comtech, we started using Robin's recommended pre-sales process, saw a 40% increase in closing. All right. Last one I'll give you here, Cindy Turry, Director of Business Development. That's Chad Holstead, who's the CEO. By refining our sales process, they didn't change. By the way, they didn't change their offer pricing packages, because I guess they didn't, but they didn't change anything. They just improved the sales process. And Cindy, who's the Director of Business Development, brought in $279,000 plus in ARR and has seen an overall company increase in top line sales of 24%. And that was in a year's time. All right. Okay. Still going. I know we're quick. I hope you guys don't get too mad. Implement a no-fail follow-up system. A study from Harvard looked at 71% of qualified leads are never followed up. And of the ones that are, they're only touched 1.3 times. All right. Now, you say, not in our business. Okay. We make thousands of phone calls to MSPs. Roughly 67% of the calls we make to MSPs go straight to voicemail. 14% have bad numbers on their website. When you call, it's fast busy, broken voicemail systems. They say the mailbox is full, there's a disconnect, there's no answer, it rings out. This is unbelievable. We see it all the time. Now, what's the number one reason why somebody fires their current IT provider and looks for another one? Take a guess. Lack of response. They're not responsive. So I'm frustrated. I'm looking for a new MSP. I go on Google. I start searching. I call a couple companies and I'm getting voicemail, bad number, voicemail. I'm going to keep calling until somebody answers the phone, right? You're burning opportunities. Web visitors are coming to your website and you have no way for them to opt in or book an appointment. There's no call to action. They're not pixeled for retargeting. There's no inbound web forms because they don't even work. Like, when was the last time you went to your website and checked your web forms, see if they work? Inbound calls that get voicemail and they hang up. An inbound call that gets answered, but the person talking to them doesn't ask them, what's your name? What's your company? They just answer a couple questions and hang up. That's a lead. You gotta capture information. No follow-up. Inbound lead that only gets email follow-up. No phone call, no offline. Conversion, conversation or lead, no appointment set with no follow-up. Appointment scheduled, not kept. Again, no follow-up, or a referral comes in, no follow-up. I see it all the time. You're burning money. And if we said you're getting 2 leads a month over 24 leads over a year, you can start to see in 30 days, we would be up 8 appointments. If we started doing real capture, drip marketing, after 90 days, we'd be up 4 more appointments, 6 months, 3 more. You would end up at plussing 17 appointments without spending another dime, just the leads that are coming in, right? Say you had a 30% close rate, 5 new clients, at least one of them is going to be worth more than your average, and 2 referrals. You could get 7 new clients purely from a better capture and drip marketing follow-up system, doing nothing else. I'm telling you, I see this all the time, all right? And that would translate into about $144,000 in sales if your numbers, now I'm using anecdote, I'm not using crazy numbers. Your numbers might be different, like what your average sale is and your close rate, but you get the idea, right? This could put a significant amount of new customers and profits in your business, and it's just handling the leads that are already coming into your office, all right? Leads need to be put into a marketing system and followed up on. And so you need a CRM system. Shameless plug. Yes, we sell one, mspmarketingcrm.com. But even if you don't use that, you need one. And your PSA tool, your RMM tool, whatever, is not a CRM system, right? Every lead's got to go in, and automated follow-up has to happen. You need to have a comprehensive online and offline follow-up. So I'm talking like lead comes in, you should be making no less than 5 calls, 5 to 7 emails, trying to get that lead to book an appointment, following up with an offline package. And if they're not interested right now, you got to put them into some sort of drip marketing. We recommend no less than once a week doing an email to your prospects and driving them to a blog post or some other piece of content. Might be a webinar, might be, hey, go come see me at this trade show, inviting them to a seminar, or of course, obviously, blog post. All right. Scott Beck, small MSP up in Canada. If we didn't have a system in place to automate the process to follow up, we'd be missing out on tens of thousands of dollars in revenue. Some people decide to do business with us right away. Others need a couple meetings. Implementing this has helped me grow from under 250,000 in revenue to 2 million in revenue and profitable. Now I can afford to hire techs to do the work. So he travels, and Scott does. He travels all the time with his wife. He takes his daughter and his grandkids, and he pays for the whole thing, and it's awesome, right? All right, but remember, if you change nothing, nothing will change. So you don't want to be building a business where you are a tech with helpers. A tech with helpers has a tedious, exhausting, chaotic existence. All right, and that's the only motivation is not to have a boss. You really want to be a real entrepreneur where your business is rewarding. It's easy to get customers, keep customers, make money. It's attractive to the right people, attractive to good customers. It's attractive to good employees. And of course, it's lucrative. All right. So you got to get that out of your head. I'm a tech. I can't be good at marketing and sales. I shouldn't have to do marketing. If we just focus on being great at what we do, yeah, try that plan. It's not going to work. I have to get my operations in order first before I can do any marketing. Guess what? Your operations are never in order. It's a black hole. Yes, you should always try to make it better. But if you wait, when are your operations going to be perfect? Never. Okay, it's an excuse. I don't have time to do marketing right now. Well, when are you going to have time? Like, it's not just going to show up like you're going to wake up some morning and go, well, geez, look, I got really nothing going on this month. Maybe I'll work on marketing. Like people say to me, well, Robin, I'm too busy to do marketing right now. I'm going to wait until, and they give some point in the future. And I say, look, let's be honest. Do you really think a month from now, 3 months from now, whatever it is, pick your date, that you're going to not be as busy as you are right now? Let's be real. And they kind of, shrug and stuff. You got to learn how to do marketing to get the better customers in the door. I can't take another client right now. It's another thing. So here's what I would say. Someone says that to me, I can't take another client right now. So I say, okay, if a customer came to you with a referral, and this referral was a really good client, represented several $1,000s in MRR, you're going to tell me you're going to go to that referral and say, sorry, dog, can't take you on as a customer. We're full up here. Go down the street. Let me give you the number of another competitor in our area. You're going to do that? No, you're not going to do that. The reason that you're so busy is because you're servicing all these unprofitable customers. So the idea is you want to keep doing marketing so that you can get rid of the cheap, slow paying, unappreciative, wrong fit customers and bring in better, higher value customers. That's the whole point of doing marketing, right? You don't want to ever be static because you're going to also have churn. That's the reality of life, all right? Or I can't afford to do marketing, which again, that's silly. If you're charging the prices that you should be charging, there should be absolutely no reason why you can't afford to do marketing. All right. So again, if you're stuck in any of these things and you need help, go to itmarketingplan.com/6 ways. There's some really good resources up there that will continue this conversation and help you. So, all right. I know I went way over. I hope Jared, Cynthia, the team here is not.
That's okay. It's all right.
Is it? Is it
I've
though?
got space and time later on here. Like we're talking like 9 minutes. Girl, that's easy. We got it. You
Okay.
have such important things to say. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's amazing.
You're welcome. I enjoyed myself. I hope I was. Do you want me to? I mean, it's up to you. Do you want me to answer any other questions or what? I mean,
Thank
I also tell
you.
people if they go there, you can reach out to my organization. Any questions, we'll make sure we can help you with them as well.
Yep, someone asked about some road shows, and we got the link up for that. It looks like we're good. It looks like we're in a great spot.
Okay, perfect.
Now, I have one quick question for you.
Sure.
Of all the books behind you, what's your favorite one?
Oh, I like them all for different reasons. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's like picking your favorite child.
Rainy day. Rainy day.
Yeah, you know, at heart, I'm a copywriter. I know how to write sales and marketing copy. I really love the art of writing influential copy. So I have one of the ones up here is called $1,000,000 Mailings, and it's an old book that, you know, is got some of the most successful direct mail pieces and the copy and the layout and the offers and stuff. And I absolutely love it. I know that sounds like that's the nerd in me, but I
I
love
love
that.
it.
Yeah, and I think you know, the Robert Collier letter book is still like one of my, and these are classics. I mean, these are old school, you know, if you will, but they're great.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, good. And see, they're not just for decoration, everybody. She's actually read those books behind her.
Yeah, you can't like if you look at this, like this is the Robert Collier letter book. You can see there's like tabs like where I've
Oh,
literally
that's
read them and I still reference
oh,
them. Like that's why they're sitting here. You know, and then I got all my other paraphernalia and junk, you know, like my chicken hey hey. You know, everyone wants to know about
everybody
hey
needs a
hey.
hey hey.
Yeah.
Hey hey reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously sometimes.
Well, hey hey's there because he's a dumb cluck, and it's a reminder to me that I only allow one dumb cluck in my office, and I already have one, so that's it. No more dumb clucks.